I've come to talk about the course and how you found the master's programme because you're nearly finishing.
I personally, I've really loved it's really kind of opened my understanding, especially around what I thought I knew about education and all the things I learned in undergrad. It kind of challenged a lot of what I already knew, and I really think that it kind of opened up to a lot of different aspects that I didn't really consider. Previously, I'd never really been interested in EIL. I wasn't very confident in it, to be honest, especially now looking into it a lot more, especially how more prevalent it's become. I feel like it's really helped me open up my understanding and learn a lot about how to like support EIL in my role, and in other aspects as well, like in inclusion. Um, a lot of children have so many different needs, and I think it's really helped me explore all those needs and how I can better support them.
Because my undergrad was in primary education, we kind of had like our reading list, and this is what we needed to do, and this is what we kind of needed to believe in to be a teacher. I think this year's meant that the things that maybe I was a bit like, oh, I don't know about, we've actually been able to deep dive into, like, is the YFS stuff actually helpful for that child, or is the, because my big interest is SEND, like, is that actually helpful for that child? And us looking into also like other people's opinions and actually being able to have a proper conversation about what we do and don't agree with and our own experiences, which has been really good.
Like Lee said, just having back and forth and discussing with the other people on our course and how different their cultures are and how different their countries are with education and everything. I've enjoyed that, but I've also quite liked, because we get to pick our own topics in our assignments. Like, I've chosen grief because I was really interested in that.
Yeah.
I didn't get the opportunity to do that in undergrad, so I've really enjoyed deep diving into that, and it's sort of put me in a different course in my career where I want to go into grief and education, and I want to look at children, to support children through that time in their life. So it's given me more opportunity for that.
What have you thought about the assignments? You've just said that you can go and pick, and you've got freedom with the assignments. Is there anything else perhaps that you've enjoyed about the assignments?
The fact that we do one at a time, and we've got one module at a time, so we can really deep dive into them and focus on one thing at a time, and really, because I feel like I've done so much better with my assignments this time around, and I'm really improving with how I'm writing them, because I'm allowed to do one thing at a time.
I think my like fear of doing a master's was like we'd be given a module and then it'd be like just write something. I didn't know we'd have still like the same support, but with the same support we've also had more freedom. So like, because I think we're such a nice smaller group, we've been able to say like, oh, I've got this idea, and we've had the opportunity to talk it through and kind of fit it to what we need to meet in terms of module competencies, while still sticking to what we want to learn to take into our careers, like Charlie said. So it's been really, really good.
One thing I've really enjoyed is like the freedom in exploring our own topics, especially within the modules themselves. On, for example, some of the presentations that we've done, it's hard to imagine that some of these were the exact same module because they were all so different, such different topics. But it was so interesting to see how each person perceived the module and what route they decided to go down and research and look through. And it was really nice to actually see those presentations all come together and see how different we all viewed the module ourselves. The freedom to be able to look at it in our own lens.
And I suppose it meant that you were all listening to different topic areas because you'd all explored so many different avenues, really. How have you juggled things?
I've been able to balance my time better, and also I feel like there's been an understanding sometimes. If things are a bit tough, we can say all are like, we're struggling with this bit, and we'll kind of go over it a bit more, or have the opportunity to talk to you on those days. I think also because we've only had to do 1 to 2 assignments at the same time, there isn't this big stress. It's more, I've actually now to enjoy what I'm learning about, whereas like our teacher training our undergrad was a lot different to that, in that it needed to be this done full time, like all the time. But this one's been full time, but still had the opportunity to actually sit and go to the library and read about something because we've found it interesting in a lecture, and I found that really good.
I found it a lot better than undergrad, personally. So the timetable was a lot more set and a lot more achievable. I found like being able to know that I'm in a set day each week was a lot more manageable in line with my employments, especially because I'm in school as a TA. I was able to get this job by saying I know I'm available on these days, and it was a lot more easy to work with compared to undergrad.
I started the course without a job on the side, and it was only in February and March that I got a job, and I found there was no real difference. Like I'm not struggling to manage anything now that I have got a job in supply, whereas before I didn't with my assignments and everything. Because I work for an agency, I'm telling them I can't do a certain day, and they will work around that. And then if I have tutorials or anything, you're happy for us to support on different days, so that's really easy. I think you're really great at working around our lives, and fitting things into work for us, and I think that's really helpful. It takes a lot of stress off trying to fit certain deadlines and things, so I'm really grateful for that.
Having studied the master's programme, how do you think, what will be the benefits for the future?
I could have done different things this year, and I could have gone gone straight into teaching and not had the kind of context behind what I've learned this year. In that, like, I've actually been able to really deep dive into things that I found interesting, and also because I've gone from doing an undergrad straight to this, my brain's still in assignment mode, so I've been able to stick with it, but also then go, actually, this really piqued my interest in my undergrad. I can actually really go into it. Like, I wanted to look more into anxiety in children and how that can mask with ADHD and areas like that. And I got to do exactly that with a module while still being in the mindset of how to write an assignment and how to kind of get it. But that being said, some of the people that are on our course haven't written an assignment in years and have still had kind of like it plotted for us to help us kind of relearn how to write things, because things are definitely more challenging in terms of how we need to write, but that has come with having more support to do that.
For me, because I also am looking at a career, I want to go into educational leadership, and that's my dream of what I want to go into. And one thing that I really enjoy is the fact that I originally wanted to go for an educational leadership masters, but then after seeing this course, after reading through it, I thought, wow, this resonates with me a lot more. And I love the idea that this is going to be, I feel like it's been such a more varied and wider exploration of the topic, rather than focusing on these set things here. I've been able to broaden my understanding on so much, and I think it's really going to help me differentiate myself from other people in the future over what I've learned. I really enjoy knowing that I've not gone this set route on this kind of like bog standard set by set thing that, this is what I should do. I've kind of explored this, and it's really been an enjoyable experience, having this freedom of exploring the topics that I want to explore and things that I'm passionate about.
And you really have looked at varied topics, I think, within the assignments, haven't you?
It kind of works with the way my brain works. I've always really struggled focusing on one certain topic at a time, so to be able to have this freedom where I've gone, I'm suddenly interested in the AL, I'd love to explore this. Children with parents in incarceration, like all these different things I've been able to explore and learn so much about that, especially in where I'm working now, to know that there's children who have these things, and now I have a better understanding, so I can actually better support them in their education, has been really helpful for me.
Before we started the masters, I was nervous to sort of get a job, and I was umming and ahhing about what to do. So then I remember when we had a lecture about different masters, then you came in, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity because I didn't want to rush into anything too soon. When like you said, I didn't want to just go down the normal straightforward path and be stuck doing the same sort of things. So it's helped me look into these different topics that we will discuss and we all debate in our seminars, and we explore in our assignments to see what route I really want to go down, and like grief, and like with your anxiety, I would love to look more into grief, because I've come across so many children who are experiencing grief in the schools I'm in, but I've not had enough knowledge, or I've not looked into it enough in previous years to be able to support them as much. So this has been really great for me to really look into that and really dive deep into how I could have been supported and how I can support them in my future career.
And you're doing your whole of your dissertation.
My dissertation is on grief, yeah, because it's coming into the curriculum. So, and I wouldn't have known that unless I did deep dive into that in my assignments. So yeah, it's been beneficial. It's good. Paula, I am quite curious because we're going to be leaving. Okay. What is the course going to look like in the future?
So we're moving the course online, and that will open up much more flexibility for working students, perhaps students who've got families, students right across the UK, and internationally as well. Largely it's going to be the same content, so a lot of freedom for students to explore all the contemporary issues happening to children and young people in schools, but not just schools, out in communities as well. There's going to be a new module on supporting children through adverse events and trauma, mental health. I know that there has been a lot of interest for the programme, but students have been quite far across the UK and can't travel, and particularly with working as well. So it's going to be 1 day a week, and the students will know in advance that what that day is. And even though it's going to be online, it's going to still be fully based around issues in practice, in communities, but also include discussion, debate, and very much student-centred activities. To be honest, it is evolving from feedback that students are giving, and some interest that perhaps students have. So I was even thinking perhaps inside the trauma module to ask the tutor who's going to be delivering it to actually do a whole session on children and grief, and that's really stemming from your interest. And Harry, maybe you can come back and talk about children who have got parents who are in prison, or I know that you talked and you did a really good presentation on schizophrenia, and maybe you come back and talk to future students around that. Nia, behaviour inside the classroom, and you're going to do some wonderful creative research with children making a behaviour policy and presenting staff with that behaviour policy. So again, perhaps you can come back and feed into the research module.
Because we did have that this year with girl that came that spoke to us about EAL, and she said to us, gave us really good information, and we took a lot from that.
It was nice to just hear their past experiences from it, and it was nice to have just a general chit chat with them about how the modules were going to be and how they did their work-life balance as well. So it did put me at ease quite a lot when I'd spoken to their students.
So what I always try to do is to bring the ex-students in during induction. So you can put you at ease, and you know that people survive the programme. And also to look for your interests and to have you back as speakers on the programme once you've completed. So, and that's important for your CVs.